All right, so where we just stop right now, it's right next to the Paheoki Lookout Tower. If you were to kind of crane your eyes over top of this super tall cattail, you would end up seeing it. Now, the reason we stopped is because of this cattail, or Typha is the genus. Now, this is one of those weird Everglades restoration issues. It is a native species, but it's become a bit of a nuisance. It really likes phosphorus, and phosphorus is the one thing that we're giving the Everglades in abundance. When water enters the northern part of the Everglades National Park right now, it's at approximately 200 times the baseline concentration of phosphorus. Now, because phosphorus is the limiting nutrient, all of that is fancy speak for saying we're giving it a lot more food than it needs, and a lot more food than most species can use, but this cattail, this Typha, loves it. So what we're seeing, especially in the northern Everglades, is the sawgrass marshes, which if you look out over that way, you can see that's a traditional sawgrass marsh with a few cypress worked in the middle of it. It's kind of a typical marl prairie dominated by sawgrass. That's being replaced by habitats like this Typha marsh. And even if you just look that way, now look over here, they're totally different. What does this mean for the ecosystem? What does this mean for how animals use the system? What does this mean for restoration? These are all open questions. We know that it does impact nutrient cycling. We know that it does impact the way carbon and nitrogen move through the Everglades. We know that it impacts the way that the system responds to the water, and we now know that it impacts the way that limestone dissolves. So it impacts the elevation of the system as well. And if there's one thing that's more important than anything else in the Everglades, it's elevation. So just take a look around, look at the ground. Small changes in elevation, tiny little holes like this one over here or over on the other side behind you. Tiny little holes, it's a totally different habitat, totally different ecosystem. So this is one of our big restoration challenges. This is a native species. We don't want to wipe it out, but it's now a pest. And how do you deal with that? That's something that we're still working on.